Hello there, Mr. 411. How's it going?
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, man. What's up with you?
I would agree. Today is a blessed day. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving. Lots to be thankful for.
Absolutely. And we're also thankful for all the years of watching sports, man, and the continuous journey of games after game after game after game,
Absolutely.
and all the things that sports bring. So yeah, it's definitely a joy. And so, man, we'll get into it, man. We'll talk a little NBA today. We'll also get into the NFL. That we have some Thanksgiving games, and we can maybe even give a lock of the week. And I'm certain there's a little discussion of what happened in the previous week, especially with the New York Jets. So I guess we could throw that in there too. Coach Prime has been in the news a lot lately here. There's a possibility of him taking interviews and maybe even taking a job. So we'll dab into that a little bit too. And man, then we definitely need to talk about Patrick Beverly. So we'll get that in too.
Sounds good.
All right, here we go. Sports Brothers. Man, gotta love that beat, Zach.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Before we get
And for
rolling,
those, I was gonna say for those that didn't know, we ready.
we are ready. That's right. We stay ready so we don't have to get ready. But we definitely want you all to do the following.
And we appreciate each and every one of you that are doing like Mr. 411 says. And we appreciate those that will do like Mr. 411 says.
Absolutely. Welcome to the show. All right, Zach.
Here we
Before
go.
we get rolling,
Here we
you just
go.
mentioned that Thanksgiving is tomorrow. And so we might as well just tackle this topic. And anyone else who's out there, you can join in and share your responses. You can share it throughout the night and into tomorrow. We'll take a look at them. But Zach, out of all the items right here on the screen, man, I don't even know if they're on the screen yet, but hopefully
They
producer
are.
get them there.
They are.
All right, out of these items, man. All right, which one you letting go? Yeah, if one has to leave. Which one's eliminated?
I'd be fine with the ham leaving if I got to
Okay.
give up one.
All right. Well, I had to keep the turkey, the rolls, mashed potatoes, mac and cheese, stuffing, the pies. Gotta have the gravy. So it's down the ham and the casserole for me, man. And man, I love the casserole at Cheddar's, the broccoli and cheese casserole. And on the post Thanksgiving, man, I love to get that ham, especially when I was at my grandparents' house that next day, man, watching wrestling. Um, with granddad and making those leftover ham sandwiches. So for that, I'm gonna keep the ham and I'm gonna let the green bean casserole slide. But it was tough, man. It was definitely a tough decision, but that's the way I'm gonna go with it. So for Zach, it's ham, and for Mr. 411, it's gonna be the green bean casserole out of the choices there. All
Yeah,
right, let us know
that's
what huh?
that is a great Thanksgiving menu right there.
It is, man. It definitely is. But definitely let us know what items you would all eliminate. You can post it on our YouTube page. All right, well, let's get into things. Let's start with last week, and then we'll jump into the Thanksgiving game. So, what were some of your takes from last week's action in the NFL, Zach?
Big takeaway: Minnesota. You remember Life with what was it? Was that Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence?
Yes.
And one of the favorite characters on there was Can't Get Right.
Yeah.
I, That's the Minnesota Vikings. Like they go out previous week, get down to Buffalo, come back, I want to say from 17 points down, build a lot of goodwill by winning that game. You're like, oh, maybe they actually can be serious contenders to get to the Super Bowl. And a week later at home, not only do you lose, nothing wrong with losing, and no matter how many points you lose by, it's one. But it just seems like they took a lot of steps backwards. And now we're back to, once again, it's Kirk Cousins. Like, why did we think anything different? Because it's Kirk Cousins. And every time you think Kirk Cousins is going to show you something different, he is. What is the Maya Angelou quote? When people show you who they are, believe them. Kirk
Yes.
Cousins don't show us who he is yet. I fall into the trap occasionally. Other people fall into the trap, and we think it's going to be a little bit different. And it wasn't all him. It's not like he's played defense, but he's kind of the poster child for Minnesota. Like, they'll make the playoff. They might win a game, but they not going like that is not the type of showing that you want when you're maybe trying to not necessarily announce yourself, but maybe get some credibility, build some confidence in the team that you can go out there and do something. And that was about as embarrassing as it can be. Very one-sided.
Yeah, especially with Dallas losing the previous week to the Green Bay Packers, who's trailing
Yes.
in the same division that the Minnesota Vikings are leading, and then the Vikings with the huge victory at Buffalo, who's a Super Bowl contender. To come back and lay an egg at home. By the
Yes.
way, it wasn't even in Dallas; it was in Minnesota, and you lay an egg like that, 40-3. I mean, that's tough, and it's like, man, right when you want to say, are they for real? They have a game like that. It'd have been different if it was a more competitive game, but to see that, it does remind you of, there's the Kirk Cousin that we remember. That's the team, because the weapons are there. So you're gonna put 100% on Cousins, but man, uh, there's just too much talent there for them to look like that.
And
Um,
and I think it's me giving them the kiss of death, because every time I say a team has some of the best skill positions in the NFL, started with the Raiders, and I just said that last week about the Vikings, they go out and lay an egg. So I
yeah,
guess I'll take the blame for it. It's my fault, but they got to be better than that, because they have. I mean, they really do have a lot of good skill players, like a lot of quality NFL players that you would think that you can depend on both sides of the ball.
yeah, and then for me, it also, even though the Vikings have the record they have, it just don't feel like it to me like they're a a a serious threat to come out of the NFC, let alone the whole NFL, but just even the NFC. It just feels like it's more of a Philadelphia, Dallas. Um, to me, it feels more like that. And then it also, you can sprinkle in a little San Francisco now with the emergence of, picking up McCaffrey and them starting to get some players back. It just feels like Minnesota, yeah, they're in the mix, but I can see Minnesota losing, like, let's just say first round um, to Tampa Bay. I can see that happening, and I wouldn't even be shocked. You know what I mean? Something like that. So that's where I'm at with it. Man, Buffalo able to get a home game in Detroit to avoid playing in the snow. This, 6 feet of snow, by the way. But yeah, they was able to go play in Detroit and bounce back against a game Cleveland team. I mean, Cleveland was not a pushover in that matchup, but Buffalo seemed to be able to get their offense back rolling.
Um, I will say they did what they're supposed to do. I'm not gonna give them any cookies yet, because the Browns have had their issues, unfortunately, all year. Like the NFL knows what they do. They doing right. Like that 11-game suspension for Watson is just enough, probably, to make sure that the Browns won't be able to be in the playoffs, because they're going to be what 4-7, maybe 3-8 when he gets back. So they did just the right amount to make sure you ain't good enough. But Buffalo needed something, so that's a positive. Unfortunately for them, they're still Miami Dolphins are still in first place. So until Buffalo gets a uh, division win, they're kind of behind the eight ball.
It's a tight race. You mentioned the Dolphins. That AFC East is like separated by one game. We have Minnesota. We're gonna intertwine them into this week. They're gonna play Thursday against the New England Patriots, and then of course we'll touch on that in just a second because we
Don't lay an egg, Minnesota. Like
yeah.
you got to beat the Patriots.
Yeah, so we're going to see how that maybe shakes out. Then you also have Buffalo at Detroit, so Buffalo gets to stay and play again in the same stadium indoors, and then of course the Giants and Cowboys. But we'll touch on all that in just a minute. But a team that's in that division, man, the Jets. Okay, heartbreaking loss against the Patriots. Was 10-7, lost on a punt return right at the end of the game, regulation. Good defensive battle. And man, the Jets lost that game. They might have lost the game anyway, but to lose it in that fashion is one thing. Plus, offensively on both teams, neither team was able to crack the other team's defense. So, with that said, Zach, in the news, one of your favorite players, your namesake, not spelled the same, but Zach Wilson, is no longer the starting quarterback. So, this is one of the guys you have been on even since last year. So I'm gonna give you opportunity here to go ahead and just give us your take on Zach Wilson and the Jets situation.
Before I go to that, I'm just gonna say you said heartbreaking. I'm not gonna go heartbreaking because that was self-induced. I don't understand why these coaches, and it may just be some schematically that you can't do, punt the ball out of bounds. Just punt it out of bounds. If you don't punt the ball but 35 yards, punt it out of bounds. And then you ain't got to worry about a kick return. I want to say the Falcons, what was it? The Bears suffered a kick return against the Falcons with Cordero Patterson. Like, why would you kick the ball to him? Just kick it straight up in the air and make them fair catch it. And then you ain't got to worry about it. Are you going to give up yards? Sure. But why give those guys an opportunity to return it for a touchdown? Now, the Jets guy, sure, he's not somebody that is known to return it for a touchdown, but with that little time left in the game, guess what can beat you when they ain't been able to move the ball all game? A punt return. And as far as Zach Wilson, there ain't much to say about him. I told you that he shouldn't have been drafted that high. And I'm not going to say, I'm not sure you can say any of these quarterbacks from the 2021 class have done anything like Lawrence. At this point, like, who's jumping up and down saying Lawrence should be this great Hall of Fame QB? He's lost, I think, 3 or 4 games for the Jags with their turnovers. But I felt very confidently that Wilson was not the guy you should be taking it to if you're the Jets. And I always go back to that Coastal Carolina game. All you got to do is go look at how he played against them. And then you're like, how will that look against NFL teams? Now, I don't know if he's getting a bad rap or not this week. I do think he's a young guy. And you and I both have the sons. I have 2. You have your 1. They're young men. What is Wilson? Like 22, maybe 23, something like that.
Yeah, young guy.
It's hard to expect a 22, 23-year-old to act like he's a 40-year-old. And it's not like they teach, like we talk about them not having financial training and everything to manage their money. Who teaches them leadership training? So if you're not necessarily getting it home from your parents at home, or if you're not going to a program that kind of holds you accountable and how to act and conduct yourself, well, he doesn't know how to conduct himself. And then as soon as they come in, you don't make them earn anything. You just slap a C on their chest and make them the star quarterback because you drafted them, instead of saying, you know what, if this guy is the guy, we gonna have him for 10, 15 years. We don't need to start him right now. Even though we paid him a lot of money, we can wait a year or 2 years. And with Wilson, he's a young guy. He's dumb. He don't know nothing outside of him playing poorly. But I don't think the playing poorly got him benched because he's been playing poorly for a while. We've talked about this, or at least I've talked about it. What got him benched is he doesn't know how to conduct himself in front of a microphone. He doesn't understand that because he's the franchise quarterback, everything is his fault. One of his teammates go out and get a speeding ticket, it's his fault because he should have embraced the guy more and talked to him or what have you. And this might be a good change for the Jets. The only thing I can kind of say for all organizations, if he ain't the guy, don't sit around and try and take 2, 3, 4 years and make him be the guy. If you made a mistake, just like if you made a mistake on an offensive tackle, who was it? Didn't the Raiders release the offensive tackle or the guard that they got from Alabama last year? And I forget his name. I'll have to get it so we can put it on the Twitter feed. But they released him. They just said, "Yep, he can't play, or he can't play for us." Maybe the Jets need to go on and say, we need to give this up. Maybe you get on the phone and call Green Bay next year and see can you get their quarterback, because their defense is pretty good. The nice young running back they had before he got injured, he was
Brees
pretty
Hall.
good.
Mm-hmm.
Garrett Wilson has been a nice young receiver. Like they have some decent pieces. Probably the only piece they don't have is the piece they just sat down.
And that's part of the the thing when, we came up in an era where quarterbacks were drafted and then they sat for at least 2 seasons. You had to be super exceptional, like Dan
Yes.
Marino-ish. You know what I'm saying? Even Steve Young played in the United States Football League
Yep.
and moved and then sat behind Joe Montana for a while before he had the total reign of the 49ers organization. So, and Steve McNair, the late great Steve McNair, he sat for a while, played behind Chris Chandler, so on and so forth. Even Michael Vick, pretty much sat for a year and a half or so. Maybe had a little spot duty, gadget plays, but still for the most part sat.
Yep.
And in the era last 15 years or so where you draft a player, stick them out there, this is what you get. You know what I mean? You're going to get moments, because there were some moments this season that looks like Wilson put up some decent numbers, had some decent plays, looked like the Jets were on their way. But then he's going to give you these situations where you go against a complex defense. Like, the New England has a good defense and they're well coached on the defensive side. So they're going to make anybody look bad, especially someone at Zach Wilson's stage of his career. So it's a mixed bag. Sitting him for White, I think it's Mike White. I don't know if that's going to fix anything, but I think it's like you said, it's not necessarily the X's and O's type of thing. It's more of the leadership and
Yes.
trying to settle down the team. I think the team may be sour on the quarterback right now. He needs some humbling. Kind of remind me of that movie Any Given Sunday, with Willie Beeman, and then LL Cool J and some of those guys were like, LL was the running back, and then they had some linemen, some other guys, and they were like, they wanted Dennis Quaid to play quarterback, the old injured,
Yes.
battle ridden quarterback, wanted him out there to lead the team versus the more talented, young guy, flashy guy. So, they're probably in that boat right now, but the division is still tight. We're going to see how it all pan out and go from there.
Well,
Uh,
you and I are older. Best young quarterback that you can think of in your lifetime to just kind of come in and play football.
I mean, just right off the rip, I would say, Dan Marino comes to
And
mind right
and
away.
and that's the one I was gonna come with, because outside of Dan Marino, don't they all struggle when they get
Yeah,
there? John Elway
Troy
struggle,
Aikman.
and John Elway is supposed to be the greatest QB prospect ever. Struggled when he got in there.
Yep.
Warren Moon came from the CFL. I love Warren Moon. 4 or 5 years CFL. Had difficulties, just like especially when you're going to a team that isn't isn't a stacked team from a skill standpoint. Like you kind of have to be the straw that stirs the drink. So I don't know why these teams do that. And I'm gonna throw a life preserver to Wilson and just in this. Like you said, he needs some humbling, but it's not his fault that he needs some humbling, because he should have got some humbling when he came to the Jets that, hey, we not putting this C on your chest. We going to let this play out. We ain't got to start you from day one. Maybe at BYU, he should have got some humbling. I don't know. Maybe not. And I'd say probably before BYU in high school or whatever, maybe he should have got some humbling because it's not like he can't play. Like,
Right.
this is the thing. All of these guys that play quarterback in the NFL are talented. But as we have talked about in the NBA sometimes, you can go out and get 30, 40 points from a random guy, but then random guy can't come back the next night and then give you 30, 40 points again. Kobe Bryant can go out there and give you what, 40 points, 8, 9 straight games,
For a
give you
month.
30, give you 30 points for a whole season. And that's like, so Wilson, he can probably go out there and he can make some throws, maybe one play or one series or 2, 3 series. But now you want to string him together for multiple series. Right now, that's just not what he can do, and that's not all on him.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna transition over to Thanksgiving. So Thursday, here's the schedule. Got Buffalo at Detroit, the Giants at the Cowboys, and then the Patriots at Minnesota. So at Minnesota, so the weather should be fine inside. Looks like all three games are indoor games, pretty
Yes,
much.
they are.
Yeah, just one has a hole in the roof, which will be in Dallas, but they'll be okay. So good conditions there. Should be some interesting games there. You got a divisional matchup in there, and then an interconference matchup um, going on, and then or two of them actually. So should be good. What do you look for most for the for those three games there? What you got?
I want to see how Detroit competes. I know this. Everybody's probably gonna think I'm crazy, but maybe to the average fan, they won't get. Detroit has put up some points at various times this year, and when they get to rolling with their running backs, Swift and Williams, what is it, Amon St. Brown at wide receiver,
Yep.
which is kind of funny that they traded Hawkinson because, well, and I can get why they did it because they assumed they weren't going anywhere. Their offense can be a 30-point offense. So how will they perform at home? Buffalo, I think, decided to go back to Buffalo, and they're going to come back to Detroit. So you're catching like Buffalo in a real awkward situation. Can they sneak a win in there, or at least make the game more competitive than the odds makers would believe that it would be?
Yeah. So on that particular game, I want to see the defense. Something I've noticed with Detroit is that they're playing better on the defensive side than earlier in the season, and the producers did a great job in helping right here. Is that Aiden Hutchinson? Remember we talked about him in our draft conversations, and the University of Michigan product. He has the same number of picks as Sauce Gardner, who we love, the cornerback from the Jets, and then more sacks than Trayvon Walker, the player that I predicted that was going to be number one pick in the draft.
Yes, you
So
did.
Hutchinson, yeah, thank you. But Hutchinson, man, is getting it done as well as the defense, and they've been competitive. So it'll be good to see, like you say, the matchup. I want to see how they handle Buffalo's offensive attack. Cook at running back, he had 86 yards, 85, 86 yards, 11 carries last week. It seems like they're trying to establish him in the running game in Buffalo, which would be a good thing. They want to
Hell,
be
they trying to
so,
establish anybody in the damn running game besides
yeah,
the QB.
yeah, so they won't be so one-dimensional. So we'll see how that matchup is. So, ladies and gentlemen, don't sleep on that first game. I know a lot of people like to eat,
Yeah.
cook, watch TV, go to last minute store runs, do all that kind of stuff. Try to do all that before Dallas plays at 4 o'clock every Thanksgiving. But you may want to just go ahead and buckle up for that 1 o'clock game because it should be at least exciting, to say the least. Let's shift over to
I'm
go
hoping.
ahead and then shift
Well,
us over to
I
Dallas
gotta
after
hope.
that, Zach.
Oh, well, I just say I don't expect Dallas to be competitive. I know this is gonna sound crazy, but Daniel Jones issues of the turnovers crept back up last week. I know it's only 1 week and you can change things, but Dallas is kind of turning into that team. If they can kind of jump on you and make you play from behind a little bit, and then they get to get after you, um, they make it very difficult for the opposing quarterback because they got to, with Parsons, they can swarm after you, Lawrence. Like they got guys. They're I know this isn't gonna be maybe totally accurate, and everybody might not get it, but remember the '86 Giants defense? Like everybody talks about the '85 Bears, but the '86 Giants defense was pretty good too. But that defense was more of to a degree, they were a defense that overwhelmed you pass wise. Like they really got after you or whatever. And I feel like this defense with the Cowboys is kind of like that. Like they don't necessarily, they're not like the Ravens of 2000 where they just hunker down and really stop you from running the ball and all that stuff. But what they do well. And I can see that possibly not going well for the Giants.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I'll be interested to see how this pans out. The Giants have kind of slipped a little bit for me. I know they started to become this hot commodity, but it kind of like, I'm not saying tapering off, but they're kind of leveling off a little bit. So this is a big game for the Giants to make
Yes.
sure they stay in the race because right now with the Eagles with one loss and then Dallas looks strong, especially defensively, and they're starting to get their identity. I think Dallas is starting to utilize Pollard more, and just being more uh, run dependent and using that more so than trying to beat you in the air. And so if Dallas can
Hopefully.
control that way, and then let you and have a lead and let their defense do like you said, put the pressure on. There'll be a tough out. Some people think Dallas has a Super Bowl defense.
My I'm gonna go back to kind of what I said before though. Like if if they get ahead of you, yes, like kind of like the avalanche, the snowball effect. But if they got to play even with you, can they stand up to you running it on them? Like I'll go back to the game against Philadelphia. I don't really like how they match up against Philadelphia because of how Philadelphia's strength across the line of scrimmage. And what has Philadelphia gone out and done? And I know we ain't supposed to talk about that, but they picked up Sue. Now I
Right.
forget the other defensive line, but they picked up. They
Yeah.
said, we haven't stopped the run too well. That's okay. We're gonna go add some guys so we can do a better job at stopping the run.
Yep. And give credit to the organization in Philly. They obviously are determined to win,
Oh yeah,
determined to get to a Super Bowl this season. Like
yes,
you can tell, it's all about this season. They're pushing the chips in, and they're gonna have a lot of draft picks, which we'll talk about that down the line when we get into our NFL draft shows and things like that. So make sure everybody hit that notification button because we talk about the drafts as well and all that good stuff. With Dallas,
Well, I was gonna
they
say
have
real
a
quick.
winning streak against the Giants. So keep that in mind as well. They definitely have won 10 of the last 11 against the Giants. So keep that in mind if you're making any friendly wagers.
Yes, and I was gonna add to what you said. Like that's a good point you brought up about the Eagles, and they're playing it like a Major League Baseball contender. You know how you get teams that when they feel like they got that window to like
Right.
back in our day when you there was only two teams that won and you were trying to win the pennant, and that was a big deal. That they push all their chips in because winning the pennant meant a lot. They're it seems like as you said they're playing it like that.
Absolutely. Do you think the Patriots are going to take out the Vikings, or do you think the Vikings are going to get a victory?
And here we go again. Said earlier, Kirk Cousins. Like, what type of Kirk Cousins that we gonna get? But I meant to say this earlier because I don't want to let him off the hook, and I really like him and his partner in that's in Cincinnati, Jamar Chase. Jefferson done had some games where he don't really produce. And I get like when you go out there and you get to say the 150, 180 yard, like all of that is great. But now we going back to what we said about Kobe. I just want you to be consistent. If you're going to give me 75, 80 yards a game and a touchdown every other game, I'll take that. I don't want to go 4 or 5 games, you give me 30 yards, and then all of a sudden you give me a 300-yard game. Um, what kind of Jefferson are you gonna get? Because Kirk Cousins, like let's just be real, Kirk Cousins isn't the guy. He's proved it enough now. He's not gonna win you a Super Bowl. he needs the pieces around him to elevate him or keep him at a certain level. So Jefferson, Cook, Thielen, the defense, they gonna have to play at a certain level every week. And are they gonna do that this week? Or is like I think you talked about Belichick earlier. Is Belichick gonna have some type of game plan to make this game ugly, like somebody used to do on Madden back in the day, and all of a sudden it's a 10-3 ball game, and those look good.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Kirk Cousins doesn't get one because that's a victory cigar. No victory cigar for Cousins.
Absolutely. That's Ash and Smoke Cigars. So check out Lamont Thomas at Ash and Smoke Cigars. If you want to smoke one, hit up Lamont Thomas. That is 51861 cigar. 51861 cigar. Lamont E. Thomas. Infused cigars, gift sets, gift box, purses. Man, that's neat. Accessories and more. So Ash and Smoke Cigars. Smoke one, Zach.
I may get some for some of my buddies as a Christmas gift so they can smoke one.
All right, there it is. All right, Zach. We got a quick segment here that we want to throw in. It's someone we haven't had in a while, Zach. And then we're going to wrap up the NFL with this one.
Producers are doing a good job.
Hey, man. The lock, Zach. The lock. What is your lock for the week 12?
Lock for week 12. Oh, this was easy. Dolphins versus Texans. And I think the Texans just changed out their starting quarterback too. Like that would be if I had a large sum of money that I felt good on. I don't know what the line is, but I'll say, you know what? We're gonna take a little bit of our child's college fund and we're gonna go on and put that in there so the old lady and I can go on a nice vacation. If I had said old lady.
There it is. Hey man, it's hard to top that one. All right, so that's the lock of the week right there.
What about you? Which one sticks out to you?
That one right there. I mean, if I'm gonna lock something down, that's gonna be the one right there. You know, some of the other ones, anything can happen. You know what I mean? So
yes,
waiting to see if any. There's a situation over there in Los Angeles with the Rams where Stafford's not gonna. It looks like he's not gonna play this week. So you might want to go that route, but even with that, I mean, who's Arizona going to have at quarterback too? So I like that game as well. The Dolphins with the high-powered offense, and they're at home, and we have a backup to back up,
and on a bye.
And notice I said backup to back up because the starter actually is a backup. So they're down to their fourth-string quarterback. I'm sticking with that too in Miami. And by the way, Miami would be a great place to be around this time of year anyway.
Why, yes, it would.
Yes, sir. All right, man. We're going to talk a little bit of one more piece of football, and then we'll transition to the NBA. And then, Zach, you can get to your preparations for your meals tomorrow. But Coach Prime, all right? If you don't know who Coach Prime is, if you don't know who his swag is, that is Deion Sanders, head coach of the Jackson State Tigers. I love Jackson State Tigers, as they say, down there in Jackson, Mississippi. And he's been in the news a lot. There's always been rumors of how long he's going to be at Jackson State. But of course, Deion also, put some more fire behind it when he made it known that he's definitely going to entertain offers as they come along. And he said he'll be a fool not to. And so out there's a lot of discussion of, I think, the University of Colorado in South Florida. And at one time it was Auburn as a rumored destination, Georgia Tech. But of late here has been Colorado and South Florida. And South Florida is over near Tampa, by the way, for those who don't know that. All right. and Dion's from South. He's from Fort Myers, Florida, which is a little bit further
Yes.
south of Tampa. All right. So with that, Zach, what's your thoughts on it?
First, he's not getting the Auburn job. So them rumors, we don't even. You and I know very well he's not getting the Auburn job. Colorado job, stop it. Jackson, this is sad to say. Jackson State is a better job than the Colorado job. I would, I'd rather play football at Jackson State than Colorado. South Florida is interesting. Now, I know people won't get this, but the non-power fives in Florida, and then when you start talking about like Georgia State, those type non-power fives, it, I would say those are good jobs because you get 2 3-star players from Georgia, you get 2 3-star players from Florida, you gonna feel a pretty damn good team. Now I know that sounds self-serving because I am a former Georgia high school football player, but we have some really good football players in Georgia and Florida, which is why everybody tries to scoop them up. And it's in a conference where I think with his name, he would get a lot of people to come to the school and he could win probably very quickly. You're talking about maybe next year, say they go 7-5, 8-4 next year. The college football playoff will be coming around where the top non-power five conference team gets in automatically. He could be that team year in and year out. And now you're talking about, I know this once again will seem crazy, but you have kind of the Oklahoma route when Oklahoma was dominating the Big 12 to get to the CFP. And it's like everybody knew Oklahoma wasn't as strong as some of the other teams that would be there, but you can't win the damn thing if you ain't in it. The money would have to be right. Now, I don't know what that means for Dion, but I think he brings enough to South Florida, and it may be out of their budget, but $6 million a year for him in South Florida doesn't seem like that's crazy. But does he have bigger plans? I think he wanted the Florida State job, and the coach at Florida State, at least this year, didn't go along with that plan because he wants to keep that job. I guess he saw what Dion was doing. So at Florida, South Florida, UCF, as we've seen, those are good jobs.
Yeah, I think they're good FBS jobs. Dion can take pretty much any of those teams, and as you can
Yes,
see, he just went to Jackson State, and he's been there. What this is his third year there. I think you have a
yeah,
COVID season in there, with
yes,
spring league in there, but really technically third year, but 2 full seasons, if you will. And I mean, he's doing stuff that hasn't been done. I mean, even the great Eddie Robinson, he's Dion. I mean, Dion has Trump statistically like having the 2 years in a row undefeated type thing going on and things like that, starting off as early off in the career as far as victories. So, I mean, to do that at Jackson State, also recruiting players. He has a player coming from across the pond that's going to join Jackson State next year. So he's, if he can reach like that, pulling in 4-star players, a 5-star in Hunter, and getting wide receivers, the outside guys, and now he's working on the inside, with the linemen. But if he can do that in the SWAC and at the FCS level, just imagine what he could do at any level. I think Dion is going to stick to what he said, where he said that it was, God said that he needs to be where he's at, and it's for more than just the football. I'm gonna hold Dion to that. I think he's going to entertain these offers because that's going to help bring more attention to where he is now. Help elevate his coaching staff, help elevate other coaches the HBCU and the FCS level, get things done there, get some improvement going on at that level, maybe even eventually get at Jackson State to move up another level and maybe take Jackson State into like a scenario like what you just said, like with the South Florida, Georgia State, type deal. I can see that happening maybe that in a couple of years. I think he's going to go more that route, as of now. I mean, if you get into South Florida's, that's good. Now it may change if you hear an Alabama calling or something like that, but I think right, it'll take. I think it'll take something like that, or even the Florida
I,
State because he played there. But I think something like this will be more Dion like based on the things I've heard him say over the last couple of years.
I think Florida State was his number one job, and he thought that was going to go. Now, I'd say, like, they're probably going to go 11-0 next year. So, and it would be what Shador's junior season. At that
Yeah.
point, if Shador was good enough, he could opt for the draft. So I could see him spending one more at at, at Jackson State, and then we see what kind of jobs come open.
Yeah, we'll see. Um, and also,
Oh,
his
let,
son,
let me let me do
he
one
got
caveat.
Shiloh as well.
Yes,
Shiloh is playing safety as well, so we have to see how long he's around too.
one caveat, though I don't think this will happen. So I don't know why I'm saying this. Supposedly, Lane Kiffin is going to get the Auburn job.
That makes
Would,
sense.
would Mississippi State hire Deion Sanders? I'm
Oh,
sorry, I'm sorry, not Mississippi State, Mississippi. That's why I say I
oh,
don't even know. I don't even know why I'm saying this,
yeah.
but because like outside of maybe why he would not get hired, he would be great for the University of Mississippi to attract talent there.
He would be. Think about it
But
like this. You have Oklahoma. Remember, they used to be like this power. Look how they
yeah,
faded. Nebraska used to be a major power. What happened there? University of Florida, even this year. Look at them. So Dion has the ability to, like, as great as those teams were sometimes, look how the talent has fizzled off over the
oh
years.
yeah,
And look,
you
and,
you
and
you
they're
have
not
to
even
recruit.
relevant.
You
So,
got like number one, you got to be able to recruit. You
right.
just that's college football now. You have to be able to recruit.
I mean, he's doing a better job of recruiting than those schools are, and he's doing it at Jackson State and at the FCS level and HBCU school. So I'm saying, what if just imagine if he takes that program, they do whatever they got to do to become, and there's a whole list of things to become a FBS level team. So if they mark all those check all those boxes and eventually move up, now all the same thing can happen there where he's at already.
Uh, he would have Mississippi on lock. The problem
Yeah.
is it's gonna come up as I say, um, Dion and how he carries himself isn't gonna work for certain type of booster groups.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why you do it where you are now.
Yes, like certain type booster groups, I believe want somebody that's gonna be more like a Jimbo Fisher or like if you ever seen Lane Kiffin do press con, Lane Kiffin is very
Yeah. Dion is a matter of fact, and he's more
yes
us, if you
that
will, you
that might
know,
not work at Mississippi,
for the
but
powers that be. Yeah.
but I'm not sure they could get a better coach than him to come in and do the things that they want to do if Lane Kiffin did leave and go to Auburn.
Yep. All right. Well, we'll keep an eye on it and see how that goes. I'm rooting for Dion to stay where he's at and elevate
Uh,
that program to that level. Maybe get them into a Sun conference or something like that, or whatever conference that
I'd
you can
love to see him
qualify.
in Florida State. I'd love to see him in Florida State. I doubt he would ever go to Miami, and I doubt he's a Florida guy. But Florida State, I'd love to see him there.
Well, we'll find out. It's all up to Dion now because
Yes, it
he's
is.
definitely getting courted.
Oh yeah.
All right, we covered the NFL. We covered a little Prime, Coach Prime, and now we're going to shift to the NBA. And a great way to transition to the NBA, Zach. There's something on our page, right, on our thumbnail for today's show, and it was about Stephen Curry. How is Stephen Curry impacting Major League Baseball? I wonder how he's doing that. I mean, Curry, we already know he's a great basketball player. He's an all-time great, four-time champion, arguably the greatest shooter of all time, as many would say. Um, but how's he impacting baseball, you say?
Yes,
Well,
that's what I say. I was. Interesting
Well, he's in
question.
the San Francisco area, right? That's where Golden State is. San Francisco, Oakland, but they're in San Fran now. And the San Francisco Giants, the baseball team, they're courting someone as well. So it's
Yes.
not only Dion being courted. Uh, they're looking for a judge, and so they're looking for Aaron Judge from the Yankees. And according to reports, Stephen Curry is endorsing it, and he's doing what he has to do. So now he's out there giving help to the Giants and trying to help, you know, get Judge over to sign with the Giants. And so that would be a huge move if it happens.
Well, good for Curry trying to help with that. Aaron Judge, you'd be a fool to go play for anybody but the Yankees.
Or the Mets.
Well, I only say the Yankees because at least back in the day, they used to spend what they had to spend to get players. If they don't gonna be on a budget like everybody else now, then of course go look. But they gonna spend to like put a number. What he should be the three hitter, but I know they move him around to one and two. But we'll go. He's a traditional three hitter. Like they gonna spend money to put somebody at leadoff for you. They gonna put money around to put somebody at the cleanup spot. And you notice they're gonna spend money to get um starting pitching and get closing pitching. I don't know how much money the Giants are really gonna spend, but I believe he's from the San Francisco area.
Yes, he is.
So if you're interested in going back home, maybe the money part doesn't matter as much and the pieces around you. But good for Curry. Like I it seems like all of the sports have more of a kind of rivalry thing going on, especially like NBA and NFL. I think these cities and these teams and players that are in these cities should band together and do more stuff like this to kind of show a brotherhood for the city and or all of the sports in general.
Yeah, absolutely. There you go. We need somebody to do that in Atlanta for the Hawks. To get
Yes.
a major player to come there. You
If
know.
only Mike Vick was still there.
Oh man, yeah. The good old days, Zach. Well,
Yes.
with the NBA, want everybody to buckle up because we're gonna go over the incident with Patrick Beverly. But before we do that, here's the MVP ladder right now. Zach, do you agree with this ladder? You have Luka, Giannis, and Jason Tatum. Do you agree with this? I kind of like Giannis ahead of Luka, but what do you think?
Uh the Mavericks don't have a good enough record to me as of yet. I think it's early to sort everything out, so I'm with you. I would put Giannis up there first, and I might put Tatum ahead of Luca also, only because I thought the Celtics would take a step back. They haven't necessarily taken a step back. So and look, dare I say, should Kevin Durant be on there with all of the stuff that is going on?
He's delivering.
The Nets haven't like fallen on their face and face planted, kind of like the Lakers have done. So maybe Durant deserves maybe not top three, but some top five credit for that, keeping them
Yeah.
in it.
That's definitely a strong candidate because he's definitely putting up big numbers with a lot of chaos going on, and
Yes.
not just necessarily with Kyrie, but the roster and injuries, and Simmons not quite here yet, and,
Yeah.
so on and so forth. So there's a lot of moving parts going on, coaching change and all that. But Kevin Durant continues to mow along and put up big numbers because he is a great player. There's no doubt about that. Speaking of a player that a lot of people thought was the next Tim Duncan. Anthony Davis, he's starting to step it up. He is the first player, Zach, the first player to record a 35, 20 rebound, 5 block, 5 steal game in a game. Now, of course, here's the caveat behind that. Uh, the blocks and steals wasn't recorded until sometime in the 70s.
Yes, we know.
So that takes out a Wilt Chamberlain in this conversation,
Don't
which
forget
we
Bill Russell.
yeah, well, Bill Russell didn't really want to score that much, but yes, he would definitely have knocked out all the other stats. So if he happened to have a 30-point game, yeah, easily. But yes, not counting those stats, but still, even without that, you're talking about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who had an opportunity to do this. Moses Malone had opportunity. Shaquille O'Neal, David Robinson, Akeem Olajuwon, Patrick Ewing. So for this is a tremendous feat, if you will.
uh, Anthony Davis is very talented, and they're your team. So I'll let you tell me why Anthony Davis is all of a sudden putting up numbers like this.
Because LeBron James is not playing, and that opens it up for Anthony Davis to be the focal point of the offense. I think that is really why um, that's happening. He's able to play. Basically, he knows without a shadow of a doubt, everything has to run through him, and he has to elevate on both ends of the court. And it's just more opportunity. That's just how it is. LeBron's style of play, he has the ball a lot more, so you're going to have it a lot less. And because he's not necessarily a pure point guard, he's not Chris Paul. Chris Paul playing with Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis gets these numbers. So you can look at Tyson Chandler, you can look at DeAndre Jordan. I mean, like those guys putting up. Where are they? They're on milk cartons right now. So even Blake Griffin. So that's where it is. It's just more so that Anthony Davis can be a little more free right now. So it'll be interesting to see what happens Friday when LeBron returns, and we'll see how they play together and see what happens from there. But statistically now, and that's what we're talking about, not necessarily the wins and losses, Anthony Davis is has elevated again.
The Lakers have been winning. Like Phoenix, I know they were missing Chris Paul. Phoenix is proven to be one of the better teams in the
Yeah.
league yet once again. So that's kind of should be expected that you take an L to them on the road.
Yes, sir. Patrick Beverly, speaking of Lakers, Stephen A. Smith believes Patrick, the shove by Beverly was ridiculous. He should be suspended. Shannon Sharp is on board with the shove. So you have two different angles there. My angle of this, Zach, is that I'm more so on line with Stephen A. on it, that it was a dirty move, a shove from behind. Going to show a clip of it. And but before we do that, you want to give your quick opinion on it?
I want to watch the clip just so I can confirm before I say.
All right, well, let's go ahead and play that clip. Courtesy.
Reeves is down. Oh, there's work. Whoa. And that's over Ayton. He sure did. Edwards earlier. He straight leveled DeAndre Ayton. And Beverly is upset because the officials would not call when DeAndre Ayton was standing over Austin Reeves. And he took offense to that because they wouldn't call it. So he took matters into his own hands. Now watch the whole play here. Here's the block shot by Devin Booker. I'm not sure that wasn't a foul. Wow.
Okay, so I'm gonna kind of go back to what used to happen when you're a kid, and your mom would tell you keep your hands to yourself. I'm not gonna say it's dirt, like just like with the Jokic thing from a year ago, whenever it was with the Morris twin. You can't do stuff to people and then expect stuff not to happen. DeAndre Ayton ain't got no business standing over him. Once DeAndre Ayton stands over him, you opening yourself up for stuff to happen. Now, everybody can tell me about, oh, well, in a perfect world, so like you and I grew up in a place where if you look at people a certain kind of way, they might do something to you, and you looked at them. Now I will defer to you, and you can. Now I ain't saying I'm not saying Patrick Beverly shouldn't be suspended. I'm all on board for the suspension. All I'm saying is I'm not gonna call it dirty.
I call it dirty because he did it from behind like that, and he did that to Chris Paul when they had a previous year or two. He did that, shove Chris Paul from behind. Like, I mean, at least confront the gentleman, you know what I'm saying, and then do something. But I'm gonna rewind it even further. First, Reeves and I'm a Lakers fan, by the way, but Lee Reeves is flopping on that play. His shot was blocked. He flopping like he got hurt or something. Jordan, I mean, not Jordan. I keep getting the DeAndre's, but Ayton
No, you're
walks
good.
over there. Now, I can't really tell if he's looking down at him or whatever, but he didn't bend down and get in the man's face. So all I'm saying is it wasn't quite enough there for that type of reaction. If anything, if Beverly walks over to Ayton and say, "Hey man, get back," you know what I'm saying, get in his face, get back, you know, do something like that, okay. But he ran full speed across the court and shoved him, knowing that the guy didn't see him. You know what I'm saying? So again, that's why I think he should be suspended. I believe, and he escalated a situation that could have really gotten ugly. You could have had bench clearing brawls. You could have had all kind of stuff going on. And then let's go back to Reeves with the flopping. His shot was blocked on that play, and so that's what I have about it. It's just that the way he handled the situation. I'm all for you sticking up for your teammates. It's just, in my opinion, on this particular play, is how he did it. It's the method of how he did it. So that's what that was for me.
Well, I'm all fine with the suspension. No problem with it. As far as the bench clearing brawl, you already know that ain't gonna happen because if you step on the court in the NBA, you suspend it. So none of them guys are gonna come in. And I just don't start none, won't be none. And I'll
And he
tell
didn't
myself,
get, and Aiden didn't get in Beverly face.
It's
So Beverly found all the people. Beverly want to be the one to go over there and show somebody, especially when they're not looking. Okay.
It don't start there, won't be there. I'll give one, and I'll give my teammate. He'll be fine with it. Spring when junior year going into senior year, we had something going on, and Murphy, wide receiver on the my team in spring, he pushed one of our guys. I ran across the field and pushed the hell out of Murphy. I don't know if I got him on the side, behind, or whatever, but and said, "Don't you put your hand on one of our players." And more so just trying to do the, stand up for teammate or defense. I was trying to be that leader.
And I like what you did there because he pushed your teammate. I commend you for that, Zach.
Well, I'm just saying. So in Bell's mind, he's probably trying to, like, struggling. He's trying to show some toughness.
Yeah. I mean, and he's known for that. He's known for it.
And him get suspended, I'm good with the suspension. I would just say, Aiden, come on, man. And I get what you say about the flopping. All I'm saying, I just don't want to call it dirty.
Yeah.
What Beverly's doing. But
okay.
But we get to the point though that I will say, if maybe there's a third incident,
it will be. Don't worry.
If we push the guy in the back the third time, I'm not sure I can defend him no more.
Well, it's all good, man. It's one of those things. The league will handle it. They'll take care of it.
Suspended. Oh yeah, he gonna get a day or two off, most definitely.
Yeah, and it's good timing because LeBron's coming back. So, and Beverly, we ain't gonna pull the stats up, but he ain't really contributing too much right now. So
he is definitely struggling on the offensive end. He's looking very Zachariah-ish.
Wow. We'll get into that one day. But yeah, we have about a minute left. Great show, Zach. We thank everybody for watching and everything. But at 8:30, get ready because at 8:35, after the game, is tonight, the Thanksgiving edition. The ladies are going to be talking about Kyrie Irving, the University of Virginia shooting, and a little bit of politics here with the U.S. Senate. I mean, with the U.S. Senate / Georgia Senate race coming to an end. So, yeah, so it's going to be some discussion there tonight. So after the game at 8:30. So tune in.
Hey, real quick, Mr. 401. I was about to get excited. I said, oh, 2 live. Oh, that's live tonight.
Too live. Yeah, we'll for a future show, Zach. Future show.
Yes.
All right, he's Zach. I'm Mr. 401. Everybody have a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll catch y'all soon.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Peace.